This is Subnautica, a game I've recently started playing that has been on my list of games to play for a while now. I have, as recently as the start of this year, decided to play more great games which I've missed out on due to being too busy for a long time with adult responsibilities and family life. But for the first time I've started to feel overwhelmed, and this has prompted me to speak openly about a personal challenge I have with gaming, which perhaps you might relate to, or you can just have a laugh at the patheticness of it all. I have always loved to play games, and when I was a child I could throw myself at any game as long as I possibly could. As I got into young adulthood and began to appreciate the artistry of video games a lot more and had a greater desire to experience them fully, for some reason I could rarely ever see any games through to completion. At a point my mind would just switch away, and for reasons I can't explain, I just left great stories untold. I do still firmly believe it to be the best way to enjoy a good story, but I've always found it difficult, especially the older I get, to maintain enough interest and motivation to get fully immersed. When a seemingly insurmountable challenge presents itself within a game's world, I struggle to keep myself going, knowing the real-life time commitment required to see it through, knowing how slowly I'd be able to work through the problem. And the most difficult thing for me is knowing how much of it is a personal mental barrier and nothing about the games themselves. I feel like I'm just wired to need shorter-term wins, faster gratification, or at least a clear, attainable goal, and sometimes obviously great games can lose me at times when these things aren't clearly present. Subnautica is one of the most excellent games I've set myself to play for a long time, and I really want to see this fantastic story through to the end. As a survivor of the Altera ship Aurora, after it has crash-landed on an ocean-covered planet deep in space, you have to find ways to survive and contact other potential survivors. You collect resources from the environment to use in your life pod's fabricator to craft tools, equipment and sustenance while avoiding the ocean's predators. It's like wet Minecraft. You receive distress calls from other life pods to give you leads on what happened to the Aurora and its crew, and also to gain new technology to help you venture further and deeper. Eventually, you're contacted by a rescue vessel, the Sunbeam, and are instructed to go to a rendezvous for extraction. There, you discover a massive alien structure and the horror of realizing that there are advanced life forms residing on this planet. As the Sunbeam closes in, the alien tower starts moving and laser blasts your hope of salvation from the sky. The alien life forms begin sending you ominous, partially translated messages implying that they know you are here and they want to eliminate any foreign life from the planet. This is where I began to feel the very real existential dread. This is a much bigger story than I'd anticipated, and it has me absolutely captivated. I need to know how this story ends, but I know the only way to do so is to go much further and deeper into the unknown than I have done before, and this feels metaphorically reflective of my new relationship with gaming. For a long time I've been keeping to safe, shallow gaming experiences. Quick PvP games which I can see through a beginning, middle and end in a short time. Fast turnover gameplay loops which I never had to venture a great time commitment to. Recently I've been trying to push myself out further and play single-player narrative experiences I can see through in a few hours, and found myself playing great games to completion for the first time in many years and thoroughly enjoyed myself doing so. I've been excited enough about this to create content here talking about my new experiences and my refound love for video games. And making this content has so far been a great driving factor in motivating me to finish games, because I want to be able to talk about and show all of the games that I play from beginning to end. So it's become my hobby of playing games, feeding my hobby of writing, feeding my hobby of creating video media content, and it's been very good for my personal productivity. So having this sudden game freeze at the prospect of committing to progression has left me feeling adrift, alone in a sea of unknown gameplay challenge, and feeling already as if I'm drowning in how much more there is to discover. With so many great games to explore and how much time I have to do it, will I ever be fulfilled with how much I've done? Will I ever be able to push myself out further and deeper? I don't know if it's just me that feels this way when seemingly everyone is clocking hundreds of hours into many games, but I'm struggling to get myself much further than 10 hours into this one before feeling overwhelmed with the length of the challenge. Is something wrong with me? Is this my, what I've long suspected to be, ADHD getting the better of me, not allowing me to continue focusing on these things? Maybe this would be easy to come to terms with if I didn't love games so much. If I could just say, hey, maybe games just aren't for me, never mind, and just enjoy other media instead, but I just can't. This is the one thing I want to enjoy, but I feel like my brain is trying its best not to let me do it. So here I am, alone on this vast aquatic planet, contemplating the weight of both my real life and fictional challenges. If you made it this far through my sorrowful tale of personal woe, then thank you for listening. Maybe you can relate to what I'm saying, or maybe you think I'm just a silly old man ranting ridiculous nonsense into the void. But this isn't a distress call or an admission of failure from me. This is a mission statement. I have survived this far, and I'm determined to see this through to the end. I will push myself to discover everything there is to see, as long as it takes. This is Lou Hammer, over and out.
Welcome aboard Craved Systems Online.
Now let's see how deep this goes.